Hey guys, and Merry Christmas! Welcome back to the HellfireComms Ghiblithon. Oh, we've got one hell of a present for y'all today. Or is it actually a lump of coal? We'll see. We're going to be taking a look at Tales from Earthsea today. Richie has been trying to colour my expectations of this all the way through the font thus far, but I won't relent. No, I will not listen to your propaganda. We're just going to get right on into it, and if you need help syncing our audio to your video file, check the video description for instructions. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, Richie, why is Tales from Earthsea regarded as the least best, shall we say, Ghibli film?
So, first off, Merry Christmas, everybody! I hope you all have a lovely day. Perhaps not watching Tales from Earthsea? Unless you so choose to, obviously.
Yeah.
But yes. So, with Tales from Earthsea, it's an interesting one. It came out in 2006. Directed by Goro Miyazaki, Hayao Miyazaki's son.
Right.
And it is based on elements primarily from the third and fourth books of Ursula K. Le Guin's Earthsea series, which is a very, very popular piece of classic fantasy. I think the reason that people didn't take to Tales from Earthsea, that there are kind of multiple reasons that tie together. The first is it being directed by Hayao Miyazaki's son. Obviously, Goro Miyazaki wasn't necessarily a major expert in directing at this point in his career. This was his first film that he directed, and so he didn't necessarily have the experience to tackle this type of project. And so that could have led to the situation that we got. The second is the fact that it is based on that Earthsea series, because Ursula K. Le Guin is a very, very beloved novelist. She has influenced so many people, including Booker Prize winners and others like Salman Rushdie, David Mitchell, Neil Gaiman, Ian Banks, and in 2003 she was made a Grand Master of science fiction, one of only a handful of women writers to take the top honour in a genre that has come to be dominated by male writers.
Hang on. How does one become a Grand Master of sci-fi? Who appoints that position?
So it is presented by the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America, who are a non-profit organisation of professional science fiction and fantasy writers. So basically think of it like the Academy, but like for the Oscars, but with science fiction and fantasy writers.
Right, okay.
It's a very well-beloved series, and obviously people are going to get very antsy about how faithful that is to, the film is to those books because they are so well beloved.
Uh-huh.
So obviously there's an issue there. You also have the issue of the fact that this is based on the third and fourth books of a series, so there's a lot of history in those worlds already that we're not made privy to because the story here is based on the third and fourth books. So you don't necessarily know a whole lot of what's going on, so it can be quite confusing.
Oh, okay.
So you have all of those, and I think also the fact of it came out just after Howl's Moving Castle, so obviously it had a lot to live up to.
Yeah, it did.
So I think it sort of had everything going against it, and yeah, it just did not get very well received. I think Ursula K. Le Guin's reaction to the film basically sums up pretty much everything in terms of the critical and global reception for the film. She was just very mixed on it because she commended the visual animation in the film, and she liked certain depictions of nature in the film, but overall she felt that the plot departed so greatly from her original story that she was watching an entirely different story, confusingly enacted by people with the same names as in my story, and also felt that the production values of the film were not as high as previous Ghibli works. There was also the issue of most of the film's exciting moments were too focused on scenes of violence. And her initial response to Goro Miyazaki was, "It is not my book, it is your movie, it is a good movie." But they don't those comments don't necessarily portray her true feelings about the film's vast departure from the original stories, and she said, taking bits and pieces out of context and replacing the storylines with an entirely different plot. So, really, she was not happy with the end result, and that followed through with pretty much everybody else. And it's why I would say that on the whole, this film can be seen as Ghibli's Black Cauldron. Because The Black Cauldron for Disney was a literary adaptation of a beloved fantasy series that was a departure from the previous types of films that they'd done, and it just wasn't that well received at all. And this very much fits into that same category. In both instances, I do actually quite enjoy them, but that's more a case of I haven't read the Earthsea books, so I don't have that level of emotional connection to that narrative, and as such I can see Tales from Earthsea as being an alright film. It's probably an awful adaptation. That has happened in many things. I mean, Eragon, for example, the film is an awful adaptation of the novel.
So I hear.
But as a film it's okay, and it's enjoyable, and I quite like it, so it's just one of those things that can happen.
Yeah, a few things. Number one, wasn't the series The Black Cauldron was based on the Chronicles of Prydain or something?
Yes, it's something like that. I was going to look it up, but considering technical difficulties with my frickin' internet, caused us to have to retake. I hadn't quite managed to get all of my bits and pieces prepared for this.
That's fine. Number two, I haven't actually seen past the first 10 minutes of this. That's how far we got before Richie's internet crapped out. And I think I'll save number three for after a certain upcoming event. Ooh, it's very dark in that corridor, isn't it, Mr. King? Would be a shame if something bad happened to ye.
Be very bad if something happened. No, look, here we go.
Did you mean to do that? No, father, I was running and tripped.
Yeah, it's kind of depressing. The King, who was voiced by Brian George, who we've spoken of before, the guy who is most probably well known for being the father of Raj Koothrappali on The Big Bang Theory, amongst other things. Yes, that was the King's son. I should also point out that the Queen, this guy's mother, is voiced by Suzanne Blakesley, the delightful Suzanne Blakesley, who everyone would recognise as being Wanda and Mrs. Turner in Fairly Odd Parents, Maleficent in Kingdom Hearts, as well as being, Maleficent in pretty much everything these days, as well as being Lady Tremaine, the Evil Queen, Cruella de Vil, and Madame Leota in various things. And yeah, Suzanne Blakesley is awesome.
And number three, the animation, it's okay, but I've seen better. Like, I think even Nausicaa was more dynamic visually.
Yes. Tales from Earthsea has been described critically as plodding. And I would say that is pretty much a good descriptor for both its pacing and some of its animation. It is just a very slow, very plodding film. I mean, yeah, the review in the Daily Mirror called it plodding, excruciatingly slow. So, yeah, it did not do well, bless it.
How did you feel upon finishing the film for the first time, mate? Would you have agreed with all the criticisms?
Honestly, I can't remember how I felt when I first finished watching it. I would say I definitely agree with the overall sense that came out of the critical reception for the film. Yes, I would say it is plodding. Yes, I would say it is slow. But I wouldn't necessarily see it in as negative a light as they did. But obviously that is, as I've said, because I have managed to find some enjoyment in the film. But it has been a long time since I've watched it, so we'll see whether that actually remains.
Alright, a bit of action. It was like 3 minutes since the dragons were fighting. I was getting antsy.
Well, in that time period, we did have, the king getting murdered by his son, so
Look, as long as like a middle-aged woman don't come out and start reliving her childhood, I'm gonna be each sounds a pound. Okay, just put it out there. So far, my least favourite Ghibli film has been Only Yesterday.
Yeah, which is totally fair. It's a strange one. This is definitely more exciting in terms of the action that takes place. But also, as I've said, it's a lot more confusing.
Wolf attack! Hi-ha! Huh? Ah. Interesting. Note the purple tassel. Any relation to Purple McBoy over here?
Not really, no.
Okay. Why was he so angry there? The dude just saved his life.
Yeah, but he's a little bit off his nuts, considering he's just killed his dad for seemingly no reason whatsoever, and he sort of wanted to die anyway because he'd killed his dad. So little bit crazy right now.
Well, he didn't do it for nothing. He obviously wanted the sword that the king was carrying.
Yeah, but there's no real explanation yet anyway as to why he would want to steal that sword. And I think this is part of the issue that does end up recurring throughout the film, is there are certain motivations and certain stories that exist in the world of this film, but we don't know them, and so a lot of the stuff that ends up happening doesn't necessarily make sense to us.
Is that bread or a potato?
I think it's meant to be bread, but let's just say it's fantasy food and go with that.
I mean, you can have potato bread.
I mean, you can do, yes. What I feel is more important is the fact that this older gentleman here, Ged or Sparrowhawk, as he is also called, who is a famous wizard of Earthsea, is voiced by the legend that is Timothy Dalton.
Ah, I thought I recognised his tones. I watched Hot Fuzz again, not 2 days prior to this, and it was fucking brilliant.
Hot Fuzz is fantastic. Obviously, most people would recognise Timothy Dalton as being James Bond in The Living Daylights and Licence to Kill, Mr. Rochester in Jane Eyre, Rhett Butler in the TV miniseries Scarlet, and then Simon Skinner in Hot Fuzz.
My, here come the fuzz. Also, he was Rassilon in the RTD era of Doctor Who.
Ah, nice.
What, you don't remember that? He had the hand and everything?
Which one was the hand?
The hand of Rassilon, which he used to, like, blow people up.
Oh, yes, he was the Time Lord guy.
Yes!
That's the one. Sorry, it took me a minute. Hand of Rassilon, I was just like, what?
To be fair...
You've got to be more specific than that. Well, more general than that, I suppose.
To be fair, the end of time is messy, let's put it that way, even if David Tennant's departure is tear-inducing. So let's get off the subject of Doctor Who. Tell us about Mr. Boy McPurple over here.
Yes, so Aaron, as his name is voiced by Matt Levin, who has not necessarily been in a huge amount. I mean, he's been in quite a few things, but not as really anything major. He was number 60 in the Codenames Kid Next Door series and things that occurred after that. He was the voice of Joe in Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron.
Oh, okay.
He also voiced Anakin Skywalker in a few Star Wars games. Yeah, he's not really been in really anything major.
That's fine.
But it's just one of those things. I think he does a really good job here, if I'm honest. And it works, so it's totally fine.
Is that a horse or a llama that Aaron wears? Or rides, even?
I mean, I'd be slightly concerned if he was wearing it, but I don't know, it's sort of a horse llama elk, if you ask me.
Sure, why not?
Fantasy world. These things, that's the way we go with it.
So where are we going exactly?
I think they are heading to a nearby town or city. I think to get to the sea, to get away from this place effectively.
Ah, the tales from Earthsea. It's all coming together.
Yes, so essentially what Earthsea is it's a series of islands in the middle of a spectacular sea, which we got a glimpse of at the start of the film, but really we're not going to get to see that much of the sea in Tales from Earthsea.
Oh.
It does spend a lot of time on land.
Well, that's a very nice, obvious background, but...
It's a lovely city vista, if you ask me.
I mean, the scope's nice so far, I'll give it that.
Yeah, I would say in terms of scale, this film does very well. It's got a great sense of scale. It's just, yes, as you can probably already tell, it does just have a bit of a slow-going pace to it. We've only had 2 or 3 real bits of excitement. I mean, I know we're only 15 minutes in the film, but it's not... You maybe wanted perhaps a little bit more continued excitement before you dial it back a bit.
Bit of Celtic music, I can dig it.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say in terms of the amount of characters on screen at once, this is probably some of the most in a Ghibli film, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, this place has a pretty booming slave trade because, yes, that's okay.
I mean, it's Earthsea. Anything goes here.
That's true. What happens in Earthsea stays in Earthsea. I know that sort of makes it sound like Las Vegas, and it's definitely not Las Vegas, but...
I think a series of, like, casino-themed islands would be pretty dope. Just as, like, a visual.
Yes, but then I have the feeling that we'd be turning Tales from Earthsea into The Legend of Zelda the Wind Waker. Well, it's a delightful game. I don't think they quite really should exist in the same universe.
I was angling more towards Casino Forest from Sonic Forces, but I was actually going to ask if Wind Waker took inspiration from Tales from Earthsea.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. If only because that whole idea of a great sea, I have the feeling that if it was going to take from anything, it would have been the Bible with the Great Flood and Noah and the Ark.
Ah, yeah.
If it was going to go for anything in terms of literature. But who knows? Someone at Nintendo might have read Tales from Earthsea and thought, that sounds like a great idea, I want to try and help work this into a Legend of Zelda game, but I don't know well, I mean, the book series must have been popular in Japan if Hayao Miyazaki wanted to adapt it, but who knows?
Yeah. Okay, we need a bit of context for that.
The film's not really going to give us it. So I suppose I can give you a little bit. Ged, or as he's also known, the Archmage Sparrowhawk, obviously uses magic, but the power of magic in this world is dwindling, and it's effectively Ged's job to try and figure out why that's happening, and to try and find a way of stopping it. But also, he's really not very well respected by the people of this world because it's just magic. It's just stuff of the air. It doesn't really affect anything, and so obviously they look down on him for it.
I'm good on the Ribena berry front, honestly, mister. You could have shown me these without dragging me into a seedy alley.
I know, I definitely would not like to be involved with this either, because it's definitely not good, thanks. So yes, this is, I think, the Hazia dealer, as he's called. He's voiced by Jess Harnell. Obviously, Wacko Warner in Animaniacs, Ironhide and Barricade in Transformers, Crash Bandicoot in Crash Bandicoot, and obviously many, 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 many other things.
So those berries remove sorrow is what I got from underneath us talking over it.
It's not necessarily remove sorrows, it's more... If you think of those berries like drugs, and think of it like heroin or cocaine, it alleviates your feelings of depression for a time, and then you dive into a horrific place.
Christ.
Quite quickly. So yes, slavery, drugs, yes, this is going very, very dark for a Ghibli film. I mean, we've also had patricide, so I suppose we did start off on that foot.
I mean, I'll give them this. It's an interesting film to have in the collection with all its varied themes and whatnot, but again, the execution is, I think, what stops it from being a classic.
Basically, yes. From what I can gather from the love that is found for the Earthsea series, there is definitely enough there to make a really damn good film or series of films. In fact, that would probably work better, because then you would have the time to let the myth and the characters grow, so that by the time you reach events that are sort of going to happen in this film, you would understand where it's all come from.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be more invested, and so you could perhaps get away with characters kind of shrivelling into themselves, because Aaron does spend quite a lot of the film sort of moping about a little bit.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, what's happening? Is a dragon coming? Please say it eats him.
No, we're not really going to see a dragon for quite a while.
Oh, son of a bitch. No, it wasn't me. How does he think he's being followed?
Perhaps. To be honest, I really can't remember. There's probably only a few bits of Tales from Earthsea that I do actually remember.
That's fine.
Which is, I mean, it's bad, but obviously, as I've said, it is one of those films that is, I would say, it's on the more forgettable scale side of the scale for Ghibli.
I'll kill them. I'll kill them just like I killed Ghibli's reputation as a flawless creative series. Guy, thing. Oh, I'm so fucking mad right now. Why are we watching this?
Because it's part of the Ghibli collection, goddammit.
I didn't mean it. I was just struggling to come up with a coherent sentence.
So yes, this is Hare. The head slaver guy who's, being a bit of a dick right now. And what's really quite awesome is he's voiced by Cheech Marin, who is obviously the voice of Tito in Oliver and Company. He's also in The Lion King, Cars, Coco, so on and so forth. He's pretty awesome. He is also the voice of Enzo in the first Bayonetta, before, obviously, he retired from acting. But yeah, he's pretty awesome in this film. And also we had the girl, who just managed to escape, thankfully, and she is voiced by Blair Restanio.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, probably wouldn't. She's part of an acting-songwriting duo. Most of the time I think they've been in things together. So they were in The Legend of Sasquatch, and they also wrote songs for the film. But they're not necessarily given much information on this Wikipedia article. They're just a sort of duo together. I suppose the only major interesting thing is that they were both cast in the national tour of Annie, I think, in America. And they were also in Annie Get Your Gun on Broadway in 2000 to 2001.
So is he possessed or something?
Aaron, sort of. It's a very difficult one to explain. He sort of is possessed, but I certainly can't remember what the hell it is that causes it.
Alright. Got a bit of a Zuko burn.
Yes, I mean, she's... I think it's afflicted by first-degree burns. So yes, it's pretty nasty.
So where's Spork Harrow? Where the fuck is that wizard guy gone?
Well, Spork Harrow
Shut
doesn't
up.
exist in this film. But Sparrowhawk, just call him Ged. It'll be easy to just call him Ged.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't quite know where he's run off to. I think he was going to go get a boat.
This film has documentary tier pacing in terms of excitement.
Yeah, it does. It's, as I said, it's very slow.
I mean, it's more visually interesting than Only Yesterday, so...
It's true. I think the fact that it is a fantasy story really does help it in that respect. It could have just done with winding up a little bit, shall we say. If it had perhaps... Well, I mean, I think it probably would have been a bad idea if it were the length of The Cat Returns, because obviously there's so much going on in this world that, yeah, it'd struggle to make a cohesive narrative, but it could have done with being shorter for the film that it is. Had it actually, shoved in the action, then it probably could have gotten away with its runtime, but it doesn't really get away with it.
Big man attacking a sleeping child just because you got your ass kicked earlier.
Well, I mean, he's not exactly a child, he is 17. I mean, technically he is still a child, but he's not quite as innocent as you would perhaps think initially. Obviously, he's not innocent, he killed his dad, but I mean, it's still cheap as anything to kill or kick the crap out of a sleeping person, no matter who they are.
Why didn't they just kill him? Like, would a boy go for a high price on the slave market?
I think so. Also, they can kind of get probably a pretty good price considering he is a fighter. So that would put him in good stead. But also, I don't know whether they know that he is a prince, but if they do know that he's a prince, well, that gets him an even better price, doesn't it?
There's only like one person talking.
Yeah, these slavers are just really grumpy people. I mean, I'm sure you would be too if you were just shipping people in the back of your cart who were all miserable as sin.
Now, you meant shipping as in transporting. A different word came to my mind straight away. I really like man with brown hair. I think he'd be awesome with guy with black hair.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that would certainly make these slaves a little bit happier, I suppose, because then at least they'd find love in the situation they're in, because they've not really got much hope at present.
This better be wizardry.
I'm sure it is wizardry. I mean, what else is it going to be?
It's probably Miyazaki out there, judging by the god rays.
Which Miyazaki? Well, I think we all know the answer to that question, but the film wouldn't have ended up the way it did had we probably had God Miyazaki enter into this.
Oh, Sporkari, you have come to save us.
I'm not going to be able to get over that misspoken version of the name. Shall we just call him Sporkari for the entire film?
Why not? Might as well. Alright, so don't really care about the other slaves. Y'all can find your own ways home. I'm out. Fair enough, I suppose. Take control of your own destiny.
Yeah, but how are they all going to know that they're free? And I mean, I suppose if you look down, they could figure it out, but I'd be slightly concerned considering, the slavers are still there. Well, at least I think they were.
Meh.
So
It's their problem now.
it's true. I suppose when you've got a massive booming slave trade, you can't exactly save everybody, so you might as well save the one person that you at least do know. Some sort of weird selfish logic, I suppose.
Who composes for the film, mate?
So, the composer for the film is Tamiya Terashima.
Huh. What other Ghibli films has he done?
I don't know. I'm going to try and find out.
There must be at least 3 shrines in that there massive land.
I mean, I don't know whether they are male or female. That doesn't necessarily matter. But I don't think there's anything that people would necessarily recognise. No, it's mostly just been TV series. So, Garasu no Kamen, Yumetsukai, Saisei no Machi, The Sacred Blacksmith, Omoi Kiri Kagaku Adventure So Nanda, Hanaukyo Maid Team, and various other things, so nothing that most people would recognise. That said, it is a very, very good score, I feel.
Alright, let's see where this goes. Got some voice acting trivia for me, Rich?
Yes, so this is Tana, and she is voiced by Mariska Hargitay, who is best known for her role as Detective Sergeant Lieutenant Olivia Benson on Law & Order Special Victims Unit.
Oh!
Yes. Let's see if there's anything else on
Nope,
here.
that'll do. That's all I care about.
Yeah, I think that pretty much is the key one. Yeah, it really is.
Is Sparrowhawk meant to resemble the king? Just something clicked in my mind.
I think it's probably intended as a coincidence, but ultimately Sparrowhawk is gonna take a sort of role as a father figure to Aaron.
Makes sense, I suppose.
Yeah. But yes, there's a lot of history between Sparrowhawk and Tana. A lot of history, which really you would need to know the other Earthsea novels to know that.
Yeah, I ain't reading shit. The movie is the only thing that counts.
And you see, this is why it's always a bad thing to just focus on films, because there's so much good stuff in literature.
Not saying books are bad. Oh, it's the girl from the market. What a coincidence.
I know, it's a small world, isn't it?
Sport Harrow it is.
But yeah, this is effectively where we're getting the merging of the third and fourth books of the Earthsea series, because The Farthest Shore, which is the third one, tells the story of Aaron, pretty much, and his narrative. And then the fourth book, Tahanu, the last book of Earthsea, tells the story of Teru, effectively, and they have merged the two together for this film, which is kind of strange, but it sort of makes sense, but sort of doesn't.
Right, so the Horned King lives here, yes?
Not necessarily the Horned King, but certainly our equivalent, and he has an excellent voice.
Oh, I want to wait to hear it. Let me be surprised. Okay, immaculate fingernails. You might need to turn up the volume, I can't hear you.
So yes, I know he's whispering right now, but might as well just go in with the whole swing of it. This gentleman is Cobb. And as you can probably just about hear through the whisper, he is voiced by Willem Dafoe. Obviously, most people will recognise him as being Norman Osborn in the original Spider-Man films. Obviously, he is that one fish in Finding Nemo. He was the voice of Ryuk in the Netflix Death Note adaptation, and obviously many other things. And he just has one of those voices that is just excellent.
Oh, Flame, you're the only one who understands me. No, not you, Flame, if you listen to this. Seriously though, I don't know if that was a problem with the mixing or whether he was just directed that way, but I couldn't hear a fucking thing.
Yeah, I think it was the way it was directed, because he's going to get louder later on, but he does spend, I think, a lot of the film at a sort of very quiet whisper to try and be menacing.
Alright, so Peasant Chronicles for the next 20 minutes, yes?
Basically, yes. We're going to be spending a lot of time here doing all sorts of stuff in the fields.
Ah, Jew! The boy who saved me, and I hate that for some reason.
And also, I like how he was just like, no, I'm going back to sleep. Oh, wait, who was that? Oh, shit, that was her.
Yeah, she'll probably get up and face the music. Why is she angry at him, though, and not the slavers?
I'm really not very sure.
Seriously, what the fuck is going on?
I don't even know.
Exactly! Okay, so we're not going to explain that. Cool. Wonderful.
Yeah, this is basically a lot of the film of... It's not going to tell us things that we kind of would really like to know.
That's like if you and I had a really good recording session and you pulled your weight as you always do, but you did more than usual, and it was great. And I just turned around and said, "That was fucking shit. You did terribly. I hate you, Richie."
Yeah, that would basically be like it. Or, it would just be us starting a recording session and me going, "Oh, hey," and you just going, "Cancelled."
Yep, cancelled. Maybe we should use magic to till the fields. Or is that too much of a drain on the ecosystem?
The balance is not balanced, and therefore magic is dying, and therefore no, we're just going to do it properly.
Kind of reminds me of the Green Lanterns. I don't know if they've retconned this yet, but apparently tapping into the emotional spectrum drained it. I'm not entirely sure if, again, that was retconned out or not, but I remember the Blue Lantern lost his ring, and he got it back at some point, and that's about it.
So one, I have no idea. Also, it's not really a spoiler of Justice League that you do see lanterns, but it's only in like a backstory type deal, so it's not quite as exciting. So you don't really know anything. So no, we don't know whether it's been retconned or not yet.
What colours are they?
I think I just remember seeing green, but there might have been more than that. Honestly, I don't know. Because, it was just a backstory type shite, so...
Let me lay it down for you. Green is willpower. They're at the centre of
Okay.
the spectrum that balances stuff. Blue is hope. Yellow is fear. Red is rage. Pinkish purple. That's love. Indigo is compassion. What have I forgotten? Orange. Orange is greed.
I think what you've probably forgotten is why the hell are they eating, like, an entire slice of raw onion on their sandwiches?
Oh, sorry, I was too busy looking away from the screen to describe more interesting topics.
Yeah, I was just looking at it and just thinking, wait, why the hell are they eating that? Like, you just cook the onion. Like, surely why are you not crying?
Grueling. Grueling pace.
Yes, you can see why someone called it plodding, excruciatingly slow.
Oh, is he going to try and stand?
I'm gonna try stand.
Oh. And now to turn round and get irrationally angry for no adequately explained reason.
It's like clockwork. No, he's just staying here for a bit. Like, he doesn't even know what he's doing. I think part of it's probably because, she saw him lose his mind.
Ah, okay.
I think that might be part of it, because she saw him get possessed and all that jazz, and is just like, oh god, he's crazy.
But, I mean, she hadn't met him up to that point, so...
No. Yeah, she's just a very, very grumpy girl.
Sure, why not, Timothy Dalton, let's eat.
I like how this is like the second meal we've had in about the space of 5 minutes. No, it's the third meal they've had in about the space of about 5 minutes.
I was gonna say, sometimes the time frame just jumps forward.
Yeah, the fact that Teru doesn't like him. And is giving him the side eye. I like how Ged and Tanar are just like, what the hell's their problem?
Sleep and dream of better Ghibli films.
Well, unfortunately, let me have a look. No, looking back at my collection isn't going to help me in that, because obviously the Ghibli collection's all out of whack in terms of when the films were released.
I can tell you what the next one is, it's Ponyo.
I don't like Ponyo.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's not a horrendous run. I mean, it's actually quite an enjoyable run to the end of the Ghiblithon. Ponyo, I'm not a fan of. But it is somewhat enjoyable. Ariette's delightful from Up on Poppy Hill, which is Goro Miyazaki's second film. Actually alright. The Wind Rises is obviously quite spectacular. Tale of Princess Kaguya, perfect. And then When Marnie Was There was also quite delightful, so it's really just Ponyo that I don't like.
This is just the fucking Kingdom Hearts opening.
When you walk away, you don't hear me say, please, oh baby, don't go.
You watch Aaron's gonna fall out of the sky in a second. We are Venom! Slap him a few times. Damn. Missed the perfect opportunity.
Don't think there's any I think about it. That's like a proper night terror.
Thanks for the free food. Time to be hitting the old dusty trail again. This is my horse now.
Also, they have actually called it a horse. I'm sorry, that is not a horse. Guess what? We're only 3 paragraphs into the Wikipedia synopsis for the film.
Oh, just fuck me in the eye until I die. Oh no, old women assassins on the prowl. Or not, I guess.
What, were you thinking that they were members of the Yiga clan or something?
Yes, that's exactly what. You know what's funny? When you take out their leader, they still appear. I don't understand that.
Well, you see, it's because they're mad, because you took out their leader, and so that they want to get their revenge. And also they want to sell bananas, so...
Fair enough. That's a fun boss fight in the hideout, by the way.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of fun, very fun moments in Breath of the Wild.
So who are these old biddies, then?
I don't know, but old biddies is pretty much the best way to describe them, I feel. I'm not sure who the hell they're voiced by, because obviously... What's really annoying is that Wikipedia generally gives, like, the main cast members. For a film, it doesn't give you the entire voice cast, but... eh.
This seems very out of place as humour, this attempt at comedy.
It does, yes. Just none of it really makes that much sense. So, I've just had a look at the IMDb page. In terms of extra voice actors...
Is Tress MacNeille there?
Tress MacNeille's there. You've got Jeff Bennett. You've got Pat Fraley, Jessica G. George, Grant George, Steve Kramer, David Lodge, Tress MacNeille, Liam O'Brien, Tara Platt, Kevin Michael Richardson, Mark Silverman, Terence Stone, Karen Strassman, and Russi Taylor.
Last one's cool. So is Tress. The others I could go either way. Frolic, little lamb. Frolic for at least 9 months before we slaughter you and eat your delicious meat. Wish I could follow like a lamb.
I don't know whether we're about to get our first listen of Teru's theme. It's quite nice, Teru's theme is.
Really? You needed all three of these guys to take out these two old women?
Clearly, yes.
Oh, a single chocolate coin. Well, how fucking generous.
Yeah, I like how they're just like, yeah, let's sail 'em up the river.
Nice. I don't like these characters. Fuck them.
Yeah, they totally deserve that.
Like, am I supposed to feel sorry for them?
No, I think you're meant to look at them and think, oh my god, what assholes.
Cheech Marin's doing a good job of his role so far.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, pretty much all of the actors in this film do an excellent job. It's pretty much, the overarching problems are the script, the direction being slightly too plodding, well, very too plodding, and some of the polish on the animation not necessarily being as phenomenal as you would hope or expect from a Ghibli film.
Okay. Why do you keep enunciating your words?
Because he is a villain!
Ah!
And perhaps because he is the servant of Willem Dafoe.
Ah, Willem the Whisperer. I know him well. You guys know you can just walk back to your lord's castle, right? Amateurs.
I know.
I'm just gonna replant these dirt seeds again. Is there barely any water in that bucket?
Don't know, I don't think the film cares either.
I'm just being a nitpicking little shit in this commentary. I mean, gotta keep my sanity somehow. I gotta entertain myself as well as hopefully entertain you guys. Is there any trivia we can impart to our lovely viewers?
Yes! So, one of the things that I think a lot of people have noticed about the film Tales from Earthsea is that it actually seems to take a lot of inspiration from Hayao Miyazaki's manga, The Journey of Shuna, which is a one-volume watercolour illustrated graphic novel that was released in 1983. And basically it tells the story of a prince of a small mountain valley undergoing a famine and trying to help save the day. And a lot of its themes do end up appearing throughout Ghibli's works. So the idea of a dwindling population and a hostile land, that turns up in Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, Princess Mononoke. You have the Yakul, which appears in that, which is, well, Shuna's, Mount Shuna, I think being the prince, is replicated in Ashitaka's Red Elk in Princess Mononoke. Then you have the idea of a journey to the west, which is very similar in Mononoke as well. Then you've got the Old Man and the Fire, a scene which is paralleled between Ashitaka and Jiko the Priest in Princess Mononoke. But then with Earthsea, this is the bit that's mentioned here, Hayao Miyazaki once told Toshio Suzuki that if Earthsea is to be made into film, the plot ought to be like Journey of Shuna. Suzuki passed on that message to Goro Miyazaki at the time, and so certain key features in Shuna reappear in Earthsea, and I think that ultimately that might be, I don't know whether I said this, it might have been in the previous dub, I'm not sure. Previous starting run up we had into doing the commentary for this film. But I think that might also be part of the reason why this film is as sort of a bit of a mess as it is, because if you were just taking the Earthsea series and turning it into film, you've got the Earthsea series and everything associated with it. If you're trying to merge in a completely separate story, even if Hayao Miyazaki thought that it should be like that, you're merging two things into one story, and particularly when it's something as beloved as the Earthsea series, that's a very dangerous thing to go and do.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I guess he's just taking on Ganon himself.
Basically, and I still can't get over the fact that he's called Cobb.
Yeah. I think we discussed what a cob is earlier in the Ghiblithon, actually. It's just
we did.
Just a roll.
Yes, just a bread roll, but it's what we in the Midlands call it a cob, and it just makes sense. That's what it is. It's a cob, but obviously it means that I can't take this villain's name seriously whatsoever, because all I think about is just like, oh, I wonder what I'm going to have for lunch.
Well, I couldn't take him seriously to begin with, because he just reminds me of Marilyn Manson with a really whispery voice.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the other thing that he really reminds me of is Orochimaru from Naruto.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's that same very thin, snake-like face that's also slightly effeminate, the weird-ass hair parting with long, dark hair, and then quite long fingernails, and he's not necessarily threatening in terms of his design, even though he is intended to be.
Yeah.
But I think now, actually, is when we're probably going to get Teru's theme.
Oh boy, this is a nice song, but Jesus.
Yeah. This sort of, in a way, feels like the songs in The Hobbit.
Yeah, a little bit.
They sort of come out of nowhere, stall the action. It works here, I feel, just because we are in a more peaceful moment of the film, and it's an interesting insight into this girl who has been very standoffish up to this point, because we begin to see into who she is a little bit more through the song.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it could have. I think if the rest of the film was tightened up a little bit more, resolved certain issues a bit quicker, you could then have this moment to just pause and look at this beautiful scenery and listen to this. I think that just the problem is that so many other bits of the film are of this same slow pacing that you just end up going, not again.
Yeah. What's interesting about the Hobbit trilogy is that did they even sing after the first movie?
No. Which is kind of hilarious, because in the book they're constantly singing. It really annoyed me. Obviously, well written, you'd expect that from J.R.R. Tolkien, considering his whole shtick was being a professor of English at Oxford, so you'd expect him to know how to write a good poem. But yeah, those songs in The Hobbit drove me potty. It's just like, just want to get on? Why are you stopping the action to randomly sing? I totally love musicals. Love a musical where you stop the action to sing, but it's a very different kettle of fish.
God, it's still going.
Yeah, it's still going, yes. Probably could have just had maybe about a verse and a chorus of it. Would have been ample. But no, we needed pretty much the entire song there.
This is a nice shot.
Finally they're going to stop getting at each other's throats. Yes, lovely shot. And finally they're actually going to talk and not bitch at each other.
Oh. Not the best opening line I would have gone with, honestly.
No.
It's like, so, what do you do for a living? I stabbed my dad and then I ran away on a horse llama. But what's been really bugging me as well is that she looks exactly like him if you take off the pigtails.
Yeah, they do look quite similar. I don't know. Part of me, I think, when watching it was thinking either they're going to be brother and sister or something. No. They're just sort of... I think they do sort of have a nice relationship together, but yeah, they do look slightly too similar for their own good.
Okay, I heard Willem that time. Based Willem.
Yes. I think something else that I also now remember of a lot of this film is everyone does spend a lot of time talking like this and just being really quiet in their talking so that nobody can actually hear what they're saying. And it's kind of ridiculous.
Well, back I go to looking at the horizon. It's me, the sparrow. I fly high. What a weird character.
Yeah, he's just entirely weird. I'm going to actually see in the actual Earthsea whether he's a bit more of a threat.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it only mentions the name of the book that he appears in. I suppose there's a lot of characters in the Earthsea series, so... yeah, the list is just like a basic gist of who they are, so... For example, Tanar is mentioned here as Priestess of the Tombs of Atuan, White Lady of Gaunt, called Ara and Goha, and appearing in The Tombs of Atuan and Tehanu and The Other Wind.
I think my mind just froze for a second there. Like, these are probably well-known and well-respected names for people who've read the actual tales from Earthsea, but to me it's like you're just throwing Star Trek technobabble at me.
Yeah, it's sort of how I feel with it all. It's very much like if you went on the whole thing of... Bear with me a second.
Okay.
Queen Daenerys Targaryen and her whole shtick of her name, which, for God's sake, someone give me the full list of how you do her name.
That's the ending of Chain of Memories. Where's Diz?
Okay, this isn't going to give me the full quote. That's really annoying.
It's fine, don't worry about it.
I know, but I was going to go on the whole Daenerys Stormborn, Mother of Dragons, whatever. It's basically that sort of gist if you've never heard or seen of Game of Thrones.
Oh, I think I found it. I typed in Daenerys, Mother of Dragons, quote, I am Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen or whatever. The
Targaryen.
Unburnt. Thank you. The Unburnt, Mother of Dragons, Khaleesi to Drogo's Riders, and Queen of the Seven Kingdoms of Westeros.
Yes, that's the one.
And yes, I expect all of that on the postcard whenever you write to me. What the fuck is going on?
You know, when I was saying that he was possessed a few times, effectively this is sort of what possessed him, it looks like.
Yes, but what possessed him to walk out into the water and nearly drown, Tish?
God knows.
Huh, that was odd. I didn't actually mean to get that channel. Oh well, back to watching ESPN.
But yes, at this point I think you can pretty much guess that Cobb has managed to find a way of manipulating Aaron and is most likely the one behind the death of the king.
Ah, okay. I mean, if they wanted to, they could probably have broken the door in the first place, so it doesn't really matter if you're careful or not.
Yeah, although for some reason they were waiting outside for her to open the door. As you do.
He's loving this shit. He is loving it.
Yeah. Smarmy bastard.
A fighter she is not. But that's fine.
Yes.
Not everyone can be.
No, not everyone can be, but I would have said that the smarter thing would have been shove it in the fire for a second and then swing!
You realise that takes, like, at least a minute or two, right?
Well, yeah, but you've got at least a few seconds while they come towards you, so you can kind of keep it there, and then, even if it's only a little bit hot, sticking it in a fire tends to do quite nicely.
Mm. Oh, this is exciting. I'm thrilled. I'm trying desperately to not be sarky and nitpicky, but holy shit, give me something to work with.
Well, I mean, sort of, I suppose, gonna get something to slightly work with. Because we're effectively working our way towards the finale of the film, actually. Because we are very close to the sort of final moments of, or at least the final location of where the rest of the film is going to take place.
Hang on, who's that then?
I don't know anymore.
Okay, fine, I'm leaving, but only because you asked nicely.
So I think I'm actually going to have a look at the farthest shore to see if it actually comes up with the information that I am after as to exactly what the hell that thing is.
I guess. I've never really dealt with a shadow before. I just like the idea of him being a really incompetent wizard. Like, he's only rich because of, like, I don't know, his family.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. So yeah, I think actually they just made up the entirety of Aaron's whole getting possessed thing.
Oh.
Because I'm just trying to find anything in here, and I'm really not finding anything. I mean, the whole thing with Aaron is just in the third book, and it mentions nothing in the synopsis of him getting possessed by his shadow.
So this dude created the shadow, is that what I should be believing?
I don't even know. Okay, it seems like it perhaps may be a holdover from A Wizard of Earthsea, which is the first novel. Because that is mentioning the fact of Ged, Sparrowhawk, casting a powerful spell intended to raise the spirit of a dead woman, but the spell goes awry and releases a shadow creature which attacks Ged and scars his face. That's why he has the scar on his face. The Archmage at the time, Nemerl, banishes the shadow and saves Ged's life, but it costs Nemerl his own. The new Archmage after that, Genscher, describes the shadow as an ancient evil that wishes to possess Ged and warns him that the creature has no name. Ged eventually receives his wizard's staff, takes up something or other, but discovers that he's being pursued by the shadow creature. He sails to Pendor and uses his knowledge of something or other to get a true name out of the shadow. And yes, he flees, he's attacked by the shadow destroys the staff. All stuff to do with the shadow. He eventually confronts the shadow, and I think eventually, realises that the shadow has been part of his own spirit, calls it his own name, and merges with the shadow creature and accepts it as part of himself and thus healing himself. So basically, it is a case of, I am the shadow, the true self.
What does that have to do with Aaron, though?
Aaron's basically taken on that plot line, it seems like.
But he didn't fuse with the shadow. The shadow's just fucked off.
For now, anyway, I suppose.
What? Oh, right, he's going to use Aaron as bait. Okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't help because now Cobb knows Aaron's true name, which is Lebanon. I think, anyway. If not, there's a whole thing in the Earthsea series of, if you know someone's true name, then you have power over them.
Damn, man. Good job. And off I go to try and be useful.
Well, I mean, she's the only one who can do anything right now, isn't she? It's very lucky that Sparrowhawk was coming home at this particular moment in time, isn't it?
I've got this. Let Big Daddy Spork Harrow take care of this. I honestly tried to get his name correct there, I'm sorry. Don't mock me, okay? I can't say some words correctly.
You see, this is not necessarily laughter at you. It's more laughter at that, and also the fact that we're still going with the film.
Why did you bring me a middle-aged farm wife? I wanted a younger one, obviously. Wow. Get more up his arsehole, why don't you?
I think we just had a little bit of an animation fail there, if you ask me, because it looked like, obviously, her hands were in front of her, and then all of a sudden her hands were behind her, and now they're back in front of her again.
Sorry, what? I can't hear you from up there.
I'm sorry, what? It sounds like you're, talking like... This is just how I talk. I talk really quietly, just through a sliver of my lips, and you're all the way down there, and I don't care if you can hear me or not, because this is just how I talk. I have mastered the art of not moving my lips. I have basically become a ventriloquist of myself. Thank you very much.
I'm just eating Tic Tacs right now. I have officially given up.
Well, you see, this is because we're pretty much in mind of going, oh, is it Christmas yet? I mean, obviously, when you guys are potentially watching this, it's Christmas Day. So, yeah, you probably noped out of this as well. I'm looking forward to Christmas this year. It should be fun.
Same. Getting motherfucking Lady Layton.
It's not called Lady Layton, it's Layton's Mystery Journey.
Fine, whatever.
And it's really fun. It's delightful. I think you'll enjoy it, definitely.
So, when's dinner? I didn't get a menu. Very poor service. I'm rating this dungeon a 1.
Well, how can you even rate it a 1? They've not even provided food. So I would say you've got to give it a 0 because, I mean, the decor is pretty hideous if you ask me. I'm really not liking grubby stone chic. It's not for me. I mean, maybe if you strung up some lights, like just put some fairy lights around the place, put a table and some chairs, and then actually provided some food, then hey, you never know, that might actually be a pretty hip place to go and have some food.
Joke's over, mate. It's been over for a couple of minutes now.
Well, yes, but, I'm just making sure that the joke continues for a little bit longer than it needs to, because effectively that's what the film's doing, and it sort of deserves for that to happen.
I can't even remember a time when we've been as salty. What are you doing?
He's trying to do that to signal binoculars, despite the fact that doesn't help you see further away.
Not particularly, no. Okay, so this is sort of like when Gandalf, he was riding to Minas Tirith, and he fought off the Nazgul riders, the Fell Beast, but not. A lot less.
Yeah.
And it was opened, and it was good.
It's sort of that moment where I sort of wish Cobb had just gone, "You will not pass." That would have just been quite funny.
But unfortunately, the gate couldn't hear him because he was whispering.
Yeah, exactly. And then that just meant that Sparrowhawk could get through.
That fucking horse in the background just chilling. So I went ahead and lit up my stick. I saw yours and I wanted to be equal, but we're not equals. Because you're better, apparently.
Yeah, sorry, what did you say? Can't really hear you, mate. You're a bit far away.
It's such an obvious played out joke by this point, but it's so funny at the same time.
Sorry? Who disappoints you? Sorry, was that Spork Arrow?
Alright, enough.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Was that enough?
Yeah, enough, thank you. Okay, so you haven't succeeded.
Yeah, you've got a little bit to go yet. You've got to actually do the damn thing first.
Yeah, it's like saying, I can jump over that building. Have you done it? No, but I can, and I will. Okay, are these lights actually doing anything? Because I'm pretty sure there are, like, candelabras and whatnot lit about the place.
I think the candelabras have probably been blown out by the fact that it's just really horrible outside, and clearly this place isn't exactly that well protected from the weather because it's a little bit destroyed, and oh bloody hell, that changed quite quickly.
Yes, it did. Okay, so now I'm just going to cast Expelliarmus, and I win. Haha, didn't see that coming, did you, fucker?
I mean, that would be the smart thing to get rid of the frickin' sword, but clearly Sparrowhawk's magic is a little bit strange and doesn't work that way.
So is the shadow possessing him right now?
No, this is Cobb controlling him because he knows his true name. Because that's how these things work. See, it would really, really help to have all of the Earthsea knowledge at this point in time.
Yes, it would. Oh no, I did it again. I killed a more interesting character. Except not. They're there. They're there. Said the same thing in Lord of the Rings, The Gift of Man. God, I wish I was watching Lord of the Rings right now.
It's a shame because obviously, I think for quite a few people, Earthsea is on the same level as Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
And it's just such a shame that the Lord of the Rings films got such amazing films and Earthsea got this, which it's not a bad film, which is the really frustrating thing. It's just it's not a great film, and that is its problem.
I don't know. I would call it a bad film, unless the ending really blows my fucking pants off.
It might blow your mind in terms of some of the things that are going to happen. I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to blow your socks off.
Well, I said pants, but whatever.
Well, you know, I changed it to socks because I'd really not like to imagine anything blowing your pants off, because that would be pretty disgusting.
Fair enough, mate. Fuck you too. Well, I'm off to light another room. See you later. Called him Chicken Heart back there. Good stuff. Good stuff. Wipe the snot from your nose, Jesus.
Go do something that would be quite useful.
Ah, Sparrowhawk will save me. Oh, never mind. Here's Sparrowhawk.
Well, I mean, at least they were a little bit more thorough in making sure Sparrowhawk couldn't do anything. So they actually changed him up with chains rather than just putting some rope around his wrists.
Also, I don't think when they went to visit the Golden Hall in Rohan in the second film / book, they didn't take the wizard's staff. So
Wouldn't it be nice to have seen that story of of Sparrowhawk keep getting Tanara into trouble? That would have been a good story, wouldn't it?
it would. Instead, watch this girl run to a crossroads and then see every painstaking minute animated as she reaches Cobb's castle. Nope. Shadow.
Yeah.
I think?
Yes, that is the Shadow, the true self, acting like some sort of weird-ass Marluxia, leading Teru to a castle.
Oh my god, it really is the opening of Chain of Memories.
Yes. It's not bloody Aaron, it's the shadow of Aaron, you muppet.
Go that way. This sword better be fucking hype. I'm talking like the friggin' wing light blade thing that Tenchi pulled out every so often.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite that amazing.
Fine, whatever. There's only like 25 minutes left. Who gives a shit?
We've got 2 full paragraphs yet of this synopsis, so it's going to be quite a lot happening.
Don't tell me the rules! You're gonna run in, you're gonna throw the sword, hopefully it lands in the right person's hands. The shadow can talk, cool. Ugh. See, we know this, but it has to be explained again to this character.
Yeah. It would have just been so much nicer if we had gone, full Persona 4 of I Am the Shadow of the True Self. And that would have made this quite a lot quicker.
It is fucking Kingdom Hearts!
Yes, basically.
Good sword. There's a good sword. That's gonna be awkward when she meets the real deal, because that was the Shadow and they shared that. Okay, cool. Let's get to the finale.
Yeah, well, we're basically working up there now. So just to make that make sense, Lebanon, means rowan tree in the old speech of the Earthsea world.
Okay.
And yeah, there's some sort of how shall I put it? There's some sort of like prophecy, which let me just grab it up. So there was a prediction of the last king of Earthsea from many centuries before, which was, "He shall inherit my throne who has crossed the dark land living and come to the far shores of the day." Aaron, or Lebanon, realises that means it's him, so he becomes the king of his kingdom once he eventually gets the hell back there. But obviously he doesn't go through any of this sort of crap. That was Ged in book 1. And this is very much Black Cauldron, because Black Cauldron had a scene of people in the evil person's castle having a whale of a time, boozing it up and feasting on everything.
Well, that was convenient, I guess.
Very convenient. Well, they now managed to sell him into slavery the first time. So, saying again's a little bit flawed logic there, if you ask me. Yeah, they're really going to kill them, but we've got another 20 minutes before the end of the film, so I think they're going to take their time in getting to that point of trying to kill them, which
oh my god, are they ever? God damn. Remember guys, my number one nitpick or gripe with film or just anything in general is pacing.
Yeah, I would say yeah. Tales from Earthsea really does suffer in that respect.
Like, all of these shots of just, like, running, like a static shot, going from left to right, or whatever, could have been shortened by at least 2 to 3 seconds.
Yeah, could have done so much just to quickly nip out bits that aren't needed, and, like, you could have cut that short by quite a bit, and now she's just standing. Come on, you can... it's the way of editing things, and why you don't want to horrifically chop and change something to the point where it becomes unrecognisable and confusing.
Yeah.
But just even quickening up the pace of your edits can speed up the pace of the film, and that can be an absolute godsend.
He made me drink Vimto. It was horrible.
Oh, Aaron, get a grip of yourself, man.
I hate this guy as a protagonist. He's awful.
I know, it's frustrating because I think part of me wants to like Aaron, but yeah, he just spends the entire film moping and being miserable and being scared of everything. It's just like, mate, why couldn't this have been a film about Ged? I mean, really, why couldn't it have been a film about Ged? Because Sparrowhawk. Because the film's Japanese name, Gedosenki, is Ged's War Chronicles. So I bet people who liked Earthsea in Japan got very confused when they came to see this film, and it's actually very much not about Ged / Sparrowhawk, it's all about Aaron and Dedu.
Oh boy, don't even get me fucking started on that crap logic.
Yeah, it's very nihilistic.
I mean, we just had a film that dealt with nihilism, but it did it much better and more entertaining.
Yes.
Just in case you're not up to speed, that was Howl's Moving Castle, also an adaptation from a book.
Yes, and a much more successful one at that.
Weird how there were 2 book adaptations in a row.
Yeah, but, I mean, I think... let me just double check something.
What are you looking at, mate? You gotta give context to these silences.
I'm just seeing what From Up on Poppy Hill is based on. So, yeah, we're going to get 2 adaptations in a row, because we're going to have Arietti and then From Up on Poppy Hill.
Oh, of course, because Arietti...
Slightly different, because Arietti is based on a book, whereas From Up on Poppy Hill is based on a manga. So, it's different things of an adaptation, but still.
And now there's a dragon.
Yes, now there's a dragon.
Richie, what just happened?
They told each other their true names, and they had a moment together, and they sort of now have a slight romantic relationship, I feel, going on. But, yeah.
What's the dragon all about, then?
That will make sense. Depends what you mean by sense, but it will make sense, soon.
Whee!
Oh yeah, Aaron just... I mean, I suppose that is quite a leap onto such a very small platform, but...
Fuck!
Still, it's not that bad.
My Virgo kicked in something fierce there.
It was very convenient that the entrance to that tower was right there.
Finally, I shall be freed from the tales of Earthsea.
Well, finally I shall be free from this film adaptation of The Tales from Earthsea.
I would love for Cobb to just poke him with the stick and he falls over into the ocean.
The film's not actually that... Well, it's not that silly to be able to get away with that. Be funny if it was, but no.
Wizards.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
And also, I like the sun will rise soon as a statement, because just like, yeah, that the sun will probably rise soon. That tends to be what happens.
In another few hours, the sun will rise. What does that mean? I don't know, but it's true!
Exactly. So yeah, pretty badass scabbard if you ask me.
Yeah. I doesn't even need the sword with it at this point.
I mean, we'll need the sword because it's a pretty badass sword, but apparently it's sealed by magic, so... I feel like they shouldn't have called it a summoning spell, they should have probably called it more a heart attack spell, it would have been more accurate, I feel.
Yeah, what's it summoning? Fucking cholesterol?
I don't even know anymore.
Excuse me, I just no-sell this ancient magic over here. I haven't been able to take that sword seriously the entire movie, do you know why?
It's because that bit looks like boobs.
Yes, it's because it looks like boobs. Tit sword, arise!
I mean, you could also say that the entirety of the hilt sort of looks like a penis as well. Just to make the sword even less impressive.
So I could be killing you now, but I'm just allowing this to happen for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose maybe he's slightly shocked that he's pulling the glowing penis sword out of its sheath, but eh.
I mean, it's no master sword, but cool, I guess. Jesus. There you go. It's same, honestly.
So, basically the same as the Witch of the Waste, but obviously not quite as fun a character as the Witch of the Waste.
Who? What? Was that a thing from Earthsea?
Yes, Rogue, I think, is an island in Earthsea. We don't need to know who that is, apparently.
Oh dear, I hope you weren't hoping I was going to take this seriously. She's mine now. Teehee. GF for me.
I mean, at least we get some action in the finale of this film. At least it's something, eh?
No, he just teleported down there and slowly started shuffling away.
Yeah. And slowly start shuffling up to the top of the other tower. Why didn't he just leap to the other tower?
God, I can't take it anymore, Richie. If there weren't just 10 minutes left, I'd shut off the video, honestly. I was expecting this to be a little bit schlocky, but it's insulting me at this point.
Yeah, it is just... It's dull. And, yeah, it's just why it's a shame. I still managed to find some level of enjoyment out of this, but mostly in my brain has sort of shut off, and I'm just sort of watching it and just going, oh, this is a fantasy world.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, from that angle, I guess, but I'd much rather just watch Sword in the Stone.
Yeah, I would also much rather watch Sword in the Stone, although, to be fair, there are other films that I'd rather watch than Sword in the Stone. It's enjoyable, but it's a bit of a weird one, this Sword in the Stone.
Well, we covered that in the second Disney-thon, so if you want our full thoughts, go check that out. Shill. God, I really should have built all these stairs using magic. Ugh, magic sucks, I'm done with magic.
I should have just, teleported over here to the top of the tower instead of going down and then up, but
Oh boy. Yeah, he's intimidating, I guess. Whee! How? Literally how? Like, there was no teleportation sound or anything. Don't give me that shit. Why is this top of the thing so polished?
Because it was raining, that's why.
Sure, why not? Why the fuck not?
You know what's frustrating? In the original books, Ged/Sparrowhawk is the one who defeats Cobb, not Aaron.
Well, I mean, yeah, the movie seemed to be setting that up.
Yeah. In the books, Ged/Sparrowhawk is the protagonist. Aaron's just his sidekick for that book.
Boy, did he feel it throughout the start, like the whole of the movie, even.
Yeah. It's frustrating because I think if they were going to make Aaron the protagonist, he needed more screen time to actually develop as a character, rather than having all of his development in the last, 20 minutes of the film. They should have just focused on Sparrowhawk and dealt with him, because he is the arguably more fascinating character.
Yeah, and Timothy Dalton doesn't hurt.
Definitely not. Although I suppose if they were going to do Sparrowhawk's story, then they would have had to start from the beginning when he was young, because obviously, book series, you get to follow people as they grow up.
Really? You just gotta squeeze her to death with your flesh balloons?
Pretty much, yes. Yeah, she ain't getting out of that one nice and surviving.
Nice and surviving indeed. Sorry, man. You took too long climbing. Oh my. Willem Dafoe deserved better.
Yes. It very much reminds me in that sense of the 2017 Netflix version of Death Note, because Willem Dafoe is amazing in that as Ryuk, but he's given hardly any screen time, and really he deserved more screen time because his Ryuk was actually pretty awesome. He just chewed the scenery and it was beautiful.
Oh, she's not dead.
No.
Okay. Huh.
You're probably not going to quite believe what's going to happen right now, but...
She's gonna turn to the fucking dragon, isn't she? I guess we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? Just look at this guy. How can you take him seriously?
I know. He's no horned king, let's put it that way.
What? What is going on? That almost looks rotoscoped. What? Well, you know what? I don't want you to live, and there's like 5 minutes left, so, burn! Burn to ash!
So
he is not loving this shit.
No, he's definitely not. So yes, Teru is half dragon, half human. And, yes, in Tahanu, which is the book that she originates from, she finds that out from her father, the dragon Kalessin. So, yeah, they really buggered that up. And also, it's not Cobb that she deals with, it's, actually, let's see, it's some person called Aspen, who is... Oh, it doesn't even say here. I think it's just some follower of Cobb, who gets a bit grumpy after Cobb gets killed in the third book. But Teru doesn't turn into a dragon to kill him, so... Yeah. None of that makes any sense. I don't really care. Although, actually, apparently, Aaron as Lebanon does turn up in that book, but, yeah. He's a king by that point.
I thought she just summoned a dragon. I didn't see her actually turn into the dragon.
Yeah, well, I don't even know anymore.
That's the flaw with the direction and the conveyance, I think.
Yes. It's also the problem of the fact of so much from books not being told, but yeah. Teru is part dragon because she has eternal life. Or she has eternal life because she is part dragon.
So why were the two dragons fighting at the start again?
I don't bloody know. Something in the Earthsea series that's not told at all.
Well, this is awkward.
Yeah, but you know, we're getting our poster shot, so it's all good.
Please don't kiss the dragon. Please don't kiss the dragon. I think we dodged a bullet there. What, did you just lack the budget to show her turning back? What's going on?
Yeah, this relationship's totally earned.
Probably should have taken them with us, but, who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it? I'm sure they'll have managed to find the Romeo back. I mean, look, they have, it's fine.
Oh, I'm gone. I'm with the angels.
Yeah, the film is now basically over. We're just having a nice little ending montage to a nice little tune to end on. So, yes. Closing thoughts on Tales of Mercy. I can find stuff to enjoy in this film. Some of the shots are really quite nice. is some interesting mythology here. It's just it's confusingly presented and needed a lot of the prior knowledge of Earthsea to understand any of it, but then it's too much of a mess because you're throwing in 2 different stories from that series along with a completely unrelated narrative. You've got 2 protagonists that end up being actually somewhat unlikable for various reasons, and the characters that you want the story to be focused on aren't, and then the main villain is a bit weird and just speaks like this all the time, and yeah. So, on the whole, I suppose I don't know whether to give it a C- or a D+. Can I give it both?
No, pick one.
Fine, I'll give it a C-.
I'm going to go with D+, because I did not like this at all.
It's totally
I thought
fair.
I was going to get a little bit of enjoyment from it. If it was perhaps 90 minutes long, I feel that would have suited it better. Just cut out the chaff and whatnot. Because there's so much pointless lingering on shots, and that does my fucking nutting. The characters, besides Sport Hero, of course, Sparrowhawk, and Cheech Marin's character, all of them are either one note, bland, or terrible. In some cases, like Aaron, all 3. And Cobb fucking sucks. The animation isn't up to the standard I expect from Ghibli. Some of the background shots are nice. Music's okay. But as an adaptation, it's god-awful. Like, I feel like I need to have read the books before watching this, and even then, it wouldn't have been a satisfactory film. I'm surprised that I'd like this less than Only Yesterday, a film about nothing.
Well, yes, thankfully, even though I strongly dislike Ponyo for a variety of reasons, it's at least enjoyable, so we've got a much better time next time. And pretty much the rest of the Ghibli films in the collection are enjoyable. So, positivity from here on in, I feel.
Well, that's 3 movies we've recorded today, so good on us. We shall see you guys next time, and thanks for watching our commentary on Tales from Earthsea, by the way. All the criticism was directed at the film, not the people who liked the movie, so we hope you can understand our criticisms. So, yeah, please join us next time when we cover Ponyo. See you then.